Shy, reserved, diplomatic. All words that you wouldn't use to describe Brian Burke. Say what you will about the president and GM of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but this guy appears to mean what he says and says what he means.
I see guys that run around and start stuff and won't back it up, and it makes me sick to my stomach.
Now, back in college, Brian dreamed of playing in the NHL, but after 1 year in the minors, he got the inkling that his future was more likely in the boardroom rather than the locker room, and he spent some time in the boardrooms. To date, he's been a GM in Hartford, of course, Vancouver, and the Anaheim Ducks, where he won the Stanley Cup in 2007. Now, for the past 3 years, he's probably had the biggest sports job in Canada, running the Toronto Maple Leafs. It is the biggest media market. We all know what the reporters and fans do with your every move, and he deals with it. He also asks big questions about the direction of the game. Last month, he made headlines by defending enforcers, arguing that they hold players accountable and promote safety.
If we don't have guys looking after each other, that the Rats will take this game over.
And recently, Brian's embraced a cause that transcends often ignored in the world of sport.
We have to get to a point where you can go to school free of fear. You can be in an environment at all times where you don't feel physical fear or shame.
It's a critically important message from an important guy who really understands both the weight of words and the power of this game.
Brian Burke, the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, is with us. We're going to give you a one-night reprieve about talking about your hockey team, because also with us tonight is Brendan Burke, Brian's son, who joins us live from Boston. Brendan's a former hockey player. He's currently a student manager with the Miami University hockey team, the #1 ranked team in the NCAA. 2 years ago, Brendan went to his family and told them for the first time that he is gay. Brendan, I want to take you back to that night. You told your father last, after everybody else in your family. Why'd you do that? How difficult was it?
Honestly, I mean, the timing was not really planned. I knew that I wanted to come out at Christmas of that year, and we just happened that we saw our dad. We went and visited him on the West Coast. He was working for Anaheim then, so we just happened to see him later than I saw the rest of my family. So it wasn't planned. I was already telling him. It was nerve-wracking, like it is anytime you tell a family member, but I knew my dad would support me, just like I knew the rest of my family was going to support me, and it meant a lot. But no, the timing wasn't planned. It just happened. That's when I saw him.
Were you surprised?
It was important to me that no, I wasn't.
So, yeah, no problem. I was just going to ask your father if he was surprised.
I was surprised, but you know, Brendan's a wonderful kid. He's been a joy since the day he came home from the hospital, and I support him. I'm very proud of him.
What did you say to him that night?
Well, I said it won't change anything, Brendan. You know, it doesn't change our view of we love you, we're proud of you, and it doesn't change anything in my mind. It never will.
We ask that everyone please rise and recognize a moment of silence in memory of a courageous young man, Brendan Burke, who died tragically yesterday. In this difficult time, our thoughts and prayers go out to Leafs president and general manager Brian Burke and all of Brendan's family and friends.
Of Toronto Maple Leafs general manager Brian Burke was laid to rest after he died in a car accident in Indiana over the weekend. And as Mike Dowling tells us, today's funeral mass was held at St. John the Evangelist Church in Canton, where Brendan attended grade school.
Brendan Burke's father, Brian, and his family today saw an incredible outpouring of support in Ken, not only from his own team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, but from the entire hockey world, from the commissioner to present and former hockey executives.
Yeah, and you know, well, Brian will need it, because it just it's not really fathomable how you deal with this.
And while the hockey team from Brendan Burke's alma mater, Xaverian, also was on hand to lend their support, it was Brendan's most recent team, the Miami University Redhawks, for whom Brendan had been serving as the student manager, who stood out most at today's service.
It's how we'd want it. We were all saying with our friends, only for Brendan.
21-year-old Brendan Burke, who was an advocate for gay rights, hoped to follow in his dad's footsteps and get into the hockey business. And, like his dad, was always a joy to be around.
He was always happy. He was always telling jokes. Always awesome to be around.
Of course, Brendan was an affable and intelligent and social kid. It's just puts everything in perspective.
Obviously, last week has been incredibly sad and difficult. Been working all day to try and get through this without breaking down too much, but last Friday night I was at a junior game in London, and I got the call that you never want to get. Patrick called me and told me that Brendan had been killed in a car accident in Indiana, along with Mark Reedy, another fine young man, a friend of Brendan's. So Saturday, I had to fly to Pennsylvania and bring Brendan back to Boston. Did it in an air ambulance and reunited him with his mom and his brother.
Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Brian Burke, President and General Manager of Toronto Maple Leafs, and a wonderful ally. Thank you.
Thank you. One camera here, folks. We got a long way to go. Shame on the people that didn't show up to publicize this. Shame on them. Imagine being afraid to go to school. Imagine being afraid to step on a school bus. Imagine being afraid to walk the halls. That's a life that no child should lead, and yet that's the life that many children lead in Ontario. We need to start today to change that. And it's not enough to be here or to feel that you support this community. We need people to take active steps now. We need allies. So take that step today. Join PFLAG. Do more than feel your support for this community. Be a part of this community. Join a Gay Straight Alliance, and let's make the fear in this society for this community go away forever. Thank you.
Brian Burke is being honored tonight. Tell me a bit about that.
Well, Brian is a member of Toronto PFLAG, and he is someone who stands up and speaks out, and he's able to do it in the public forum, and we just want to show him how much we appreciate that.
How do you feel about this award?
Well, I think it's, from my perspective, I think it's wonderful. I don't receive a lot of awards in my line of work, and most of the ones you get are hockey related, so when you are acknowledged for something you do in the community, and especially for the LGBT community, I'm proud of that. I'm flattered by that.
He has personalized the whole idea that you can be LGBTQ and still either be gay or be supportive of people who are LGBTQ.
This shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully they won't be giving this award in 20 years or 10 years. Hopefully someone reaching out to the gay community, that won't be newsworthy. Someone being supportive, that won't be cause for an award. I'd be very happy when the day comes when they don't give this award anymore.
He's opened that locker door wide, and we're just waiting for people to come through it now to follow Brendan, his late son.
And joining us now in studio, Brian Burke, President and General Manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming in, and especially for coming in and talking about what's a difficult topic for you. I want to begin by showing a little bit of Brendan's legacy, and that comes to the You Can Play campaign. So let's just take a little bit a look at that. This is you and your son, Patrick.
If you can skate, you can skate. If you can score, you can score. If you can fight, you can fight.
I'm Brian Burke of the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm Patrick Burke of the Philadelphia Flyers. My brother Brendan fought for tolerance, equality, and gay rights in sports. His message was simple. If you can play, you can play.
If you can play,
you can play.
if you can play,
you can play.
Okay, Brian, tell me a little bit more about
this is Patrick's mission. I'm in the video, but really my role in this thing has been just to help him get some players to do it. It's to stop gay young men from dropping out of team sports. We find that gay women don't drop out, but the homophobic environment, especially in contact sports, becomes difficult for gay young men, and they tend to drop out of sports. So this is basically saying, if you can play, if you can skate, if you can shoot, and so on.
I'm Andrea Houston from Extra, and this is the 2012 Toronto Pride Parade. Once again, marching with PFLAG. How do you both feel?
Well, it's an honor. I'm marching with Rick and my son Patrick, and with PFLAG. PFLAG's a great operation, great support group for the LGBT community. Very proud to march again with them.
You've done so much work to help eradicate the homophobia and transphobia in professional hockey. How is that struggle going? How is it? Is it as successful as you want it to be?
No, I don't think it's a door you kick in. I think it's a wall that crumbles with time, and as prejudices and as bias and fear reduce, so does the difficulty for a gay athlete. So I don't think it's something that's going to change overnight.